So there I was again, up late at night, looking for a chord. But not any sort of chord. I was looking for something special. The kind of chord that'll make a man's hair stand up on his neck. The sort of chord that'll make you feel like you just found a suspicious clue. The type of chord your mother warned you about. And then I met her. She introduced herself, said her name was Minor Major 7. And I thought, what sort of silly, ridiculous name is that, Minor Major? But before I could even open my mouth, she said, and suddenly, I had the feeling that we had a bona fide mystery on our hands.
Hey, I'm Jake Lizzio, and in this video I want to talk about one of my favorite chords, the minor major 7 chord. It has a very, very distinctive characteristic. It's easy to identify when you hear it. There's really nothing else like it. And it doesn't crop up that often, but when it does crop up, it's usually for an obvious reason. And I just think it's a fun musical concept, and it's a cool chord to try to incorporate into your own compositions. So in this video, I want to explain to you the theory behind this chord. How do you build it? How can we actually make one of these chords? But I also want to show you where does this occur in real music, some examples of where you might have heard it before. And I also want to talk about how we can use it as composers, some new ideas that you might be able to use as a songwriter, how this fits into some of our scales. There's some really cool stuff you can do with just this chord. So to start off, let's talk about the theory on how we actually build a minor major 7 chord. This is really simple. All we have to do is build a minor chord and then add the major 7th. So my example will be in C. If I want to build a C minor chord, that's just C, E flat, and G. The 7th note of my C scale is the note B. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So if I add a B note to my C minor chord, C, E flat, G, B, well now I've got my minor major 7 chord. And you can hear, that's pretty mysterious, that's pretty spooky. And this voicing of it, where we just go through the notes right in the same order, is my favorite voicing of it. I think this is the most mysterious sounding voicing. Playing inversions of this still has that effect, but not as strong. I think the inversions of minor major 7 just don't have that same really strong, spooky, mysterious flavor to it. Now, just as a quick note, it's always easy to find the 7th note of your scale just by going back a half step. Going back 1 fret will tell you the 7th note of your scale. You just have to raise it up an octave. So I want to do this all over again just to make sure you've got the concept. Let's build an F minor major 7. An F minor triad would be the note F and the note A flat and the note C. So right there's an F minor chord. But the 7th note of F, I can find the 7th note just by going back a half step from F. That takes me to the note E. So let's add a high E to my F minor triad. And there it is, that signature minor major 7 sound. Really cool sound. Now, to me, the strength of this chord is that mysterious flavor to it. And you're going to see this being used in its strongest form in a few different examples. First, if you think of the end of the James Bond theme, there's a few different versions of that theme, but many of the versions of that theme do end with just a strong minor major 7 chord. Also, there's a very popular video game called Team Fortress 2, and the main theme song for that video game has strong, strong minor major 7th chords being played on the horns behind the entire minor groove. Also, the award-winning theme song for the Penn and Teller show Bullshit ends with a minor major 7 to give us a little bit of mystery. And you can guess, in film score, something like this can easily be abused as a stinger effect to leave people on a cliffhanger. Now, this doesn't have to be used in an isolated quarantine sense just to spook people out. You can also use it melodically. And the example I want to give you is from the song Something by the Beatles. The chorus section of that song would be an A minor to an A minor major 7 to an A minor 7 to a D9. And then we go into the little turnaround there for the chorus. And the lyrics there are, I don't want to leave her now. You know I believe in how. Really nice chord change all the way through. Now, we can actually hear a natural minor major 7 chord in the harmonic minor key. So if I was in A harmonic minor, just by skipping notes, I can get the notes A, C, E, and G sharp. So it would be diatonic in harmonic minor. However, the real joy for me of minor major 7th chords that doesn't do the spooky, creepy, mysterious thing, if I am in the key of Mixolydian flat 6, which is like the 5th mode of melodic minor, then what I can do is I can play a major tonic chord. Let's think of D major, for example. I'm allowed to play a D major if I'm in the key of D Mixolydian flat 6, and I'm also allowed to play a G minor major 7. And I think that change of going from a D minor, or D major, to a G major 7, I think is a really lovely change, and I think it dilutes a lot of the creepiness of that chord normally. So just by kind of going back and forth between these two chords, you get this really dreamy, ethereal kind of sound, and you might not guess that chord right there is a minor major 7 because it doesn't sound that spooky. It doesn't sound that creepy. So once again, let's listen to this in the key of like G. Okay, let's say I'm in the 5th mode of melodic minor, starting on G. So G Mixolydian flat 6. That means I would be allowed to play a major 1 chord, G major, but I'm also allowed to play a minor 4 chord, which would be C minor. And I could spice that up and stay in this scale just by doing a minor major 7 chord instead. So here's a G major, here's a C minor major 7. And that's a really nice progression, really kind of strange. And if I start adding in some other notes of that scale, I just think that's really, really lovely stuff. And I think it's cool that you can kind of, water down the creepiness of that minor major 7 chord when it's in the context of this Mixolydian flat 6 scale. Like to see the way I kind of think about chords. I really try to assimilate and understand what they do and how they can be disguised and how I might be able to mistake them for something else. But they really do have unique characteristics. Major chords do certain things and minor chords do certain things, and minor major 7 chord do certain things. So when I'm, composing, or if I'm hearing something in my head that I want to write and I hear something that I recognize as one of those chords, it makes it so much easier for me to write my own music because it's not just in my head. I have a word associated with it. I might hear a chord and think, oh wow, that's really spooky. It's probably a minor major 7 chord. So then when I sit down on my guitar, I already know or have a really good idea of what I'm shooting for on my instrument. It's just a way to get the stuff from in here out of your instrument and into the real world. So if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, please consider supporting my Patreon page. If you can't do that, then just sharing these videos, liking and subscribing and commenting, that's good enough for me. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.